Amber from the Happy Caravan. I'm a mom of 10 kids and we live in New York City. And if you guys like old architecture, history, like buildings that have been preserved exactly the way they were for like 100 years, then this is the show for you. So I'm going to show you some footage we took of a place called the Harlem Flophouse. It's close to us and we were playing music outside of our house, and it was right after we went on that trip to San Diego. This was back in January. So this guy comes up and he's like, hey, you know, I have a kind of cool vintage house. Do you want to come see it? And so he calls it the Harlem Flophouse. And I think originally that might have been kind of a derogatory term for, like, you know, just this place where these like artists and, you know, dreamers and jazz artists and so forth, you know, just sleep for the night. But it's kind of a cute, enduring term nowadays because we really appreciate what happened in the jazz era. Like, that was pretty amazing, right? And so when he first bought the house, I believe it was in the early 2000s, every bedroom that you're gonna see showing up here was split into two. You know, like there's this vintage old sinks and so forth that were in the rooms, like washrooms, and they were all like plastered over, you know, just things like why did you do that? And so he has been working for years and years to restore this house to its original beauty, you know. So he has like little pieces of the stairwell and so forth that are missing, and so he'll give it to a woodworker and ask the woodworker to recreate it. One time he said he gave a piece of this like precious stairway to the woodworker, and like this person never like showed up again. So he's careful who he gives pieces of the house to, but the idea is to restore it to its former beauty. So really unique experience. I'm glad our kids got to see it. There was a kind of a rare moment when the house was completely empty. So he usually has boarders there, so if you want to come to New York and stay in a place that's really like old New York looks, this is a great place. It'd probably be a great place to take some photos. I mean, it just looks so beautiful in there. If you like old architecture, here we go.
So why is it showing?
Because it's a place.
It's nice.
Oh, it's part of the.
Oh, it's so cool. My goodness. Oh, is this how it was originally decorated?
Yeah, this was the. It's a big restoration.
Oh, I bet.
Split
This
up
is
into like
amazing.
all teeny rooms because
Yes.
this place was part of what middle of it.
Oh, this
It
is
had it had no
amazing.
windows or anything, and it had an open top. So if you use the bathroom, like it just was like amplified it.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
like a big megaphone.
Wow.
So I got rid of that.
Like, I'm just amazed that this like architecture and stuff is still here.
Yeah, it's
That
like.
is just amazing.
Well, like things like, so like the woodwork's original, but we stripped it all, and a lot of the woodwork was salvageable from there to repair the rest of it around.
Wow, that is so cool. And yeah, I love your couch and everything. I know that's probably new, but it really feels the. And then this piano. This is amazing too. It just fits so well.
Figuring out like vocals or stuff, or you want to do harmonies, it's good to have a piano around and know how to play it a little bit. You know, just so you can, 'cause it's a great machine.
Oh. So cool.
So I'm like in the middle of cleaning these rooms, so they're not really set up.
This is so cool. Oh my goodness.
It's nice when it's all clean.
So this is probably a weird question to ask, but like how much can you like rent it out for each time somebody wants to stay? Like, is it...
So
Right,
I
depends.
rent it out directly for $125 a night,
That's not bad.
and with
Oh
taxes
my
and everything,
goodness.
it's about $150.
Okay.
But to like the OTA, the online travel agencies, they push the price out at this too. Like I tried to, like when I did the restoration, leave behind like this is actually a hole that a rat chewed in.
Oh my goodness.
But I
that's
just
so
wanted to
cool.
keep like the story of the building,
Yeah.
so I left things like that behind.
That's so cool.
And they were all plastered closed, the whole thing. And I couldn't understand why would anyone plaster this all closed.
Yes.
And then when we cleaned it up and we started opening up because the drawers they still function, you know. And
Yeah.
where they did, we had to rebuild some of them, but it was because rats were just coming in like crazy from them. I guess back when it was all just completely filled with people.
Yes.
You can imagine. This was 2 rooms. Same thing. There was like the door, like one door here, and one here, and it was like split here. So you, yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
So is this like light original and stuff, or is that something you added to?
No, that's like, it's called the Capo di Monte.
Okay.
It's this Italian company. It's like one of the first like light fixture companies in the world, and they made these. They were famous for these like little flowers, these porcelain flowers. And I had a girlfriend in Berlin, and she had one of these, and when I was redoing the house, I had to buy all like lighting fixtures like crazy.
I bet, yeah.
And I talked to the guy downtown, and I described the light to him, and he says he knew exactly what I was talking about, and he said they still make them. And he was able to order one for me, and they're not even expensive because like it's like nobody wants it.
Did you have pictures of what it looked like before to give you ideas?
No, I just described it to
oh my goodness.
described it to him. You know.
This is so cool.
This is a painting from a thrift store.
Okay.
I have like one like nice thrift store painting. And you know, they're fruit trees. And
Really?
so they attract a lot of birds, and I have like all kinds of birds back here.
I bet.
Even like like goldfinches and robins and cardinals. I had a hawk back here once.
I bet there are a few famous jazz songs written in this residence. Look at the old heater too. That's so cool.
The steam heaters. Yeah, those were probably put in like I'm guessing like in the 40s or 50s.
It doesn't work anymore, does it? Or?
It does because I'm putting in I'm switching. I have solar panels on the roof.
Okay.
And I'm switching over to inductors and doing
Are you just gonna leave it here for show or?
No, I'm gonna actually. I was thinking about it. I'm gonna like these things. Like I worked on them so much, and they work perfectly. Okay. They make almost no sound, and like they're all like tilted back, and they have new valves on them. And I change the vents regularly, and I just keep them running. And it's kind of a shame, but like we have to stop burning fossil fuels.
Yeah, yeah.
But it runs like you wouldn't believe it. It's like the nicest, quietest steam you've ever heard in your life.
So cool.
Heat pumps are much more efficient.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're gonna run them all with the solar panels. And then I'll have heating and cooling from the sun.
Oh, this is the bathroom. Oh my
How many rooms are there?
There's 4
How
guest
cool
rooms
is
down up
this?
here. There's and then downstairs there's a big dining room and kitchen, and there's my bedroom off the garden, and then there's a cellar underneath that. And
It's pretty big.
Yeah, no, it's freaking. I don't think I would have lasted in New York City if I hadn't scored this. Because I was sick of living in apartments for sure.
Yeah, this is amazing. So did you buy it in 1999?
1999, yeah, I didn't get possession. Well, I was under contract in 1999, and then I didn't get possession of it till the July of 2000.
So this is original, huh? That's amazing.
That's all original things. It was a modern house at the time when it was built, and so if you I don't know if you know, but like there used to be pandemics all the time. That was just normal life.
Yeah.
Like there was always like
we just lived through
cough or measles or stuff like that. So every single room has a sink, and this was like considered this like super hygienic, modern house because you could come in and just wash your hands.
People didn't wash their hands back then.
Yeah, washing your hands was new.
Imagine
They figured it out during World War I. That like soldiers where the doctors washed their hands had a higher survival rate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the original doctor that said washing your hands was important. Actually, they sent him to the insane asylum.
And it was they found a warehouse filled with wallpaper from the 1800s.
Oh,
So what was this wallpaper from?
It's called the Cooper Hewitt collection.
Okay, so is it actually?
So
is it reproduction?
Yeah,
or?
and you have to like order it months in advance,
Oh,
and then, like you order it, and then it like may take a year before they print it. Have enough orders to print some, because it's like once again like who wants this?
Yeah.
It's just like like no modern house has this.
This is absolutely amazing.
So it's nice. It's interesting that like if you spend time figuring these things and finding these things, they're not really expensive because the demand is so low.
Where did you get that desk?
No.
That I just found in the street. I just loved it.
So cool.
People were like, "Are you going to paint it?" I go, "No."
No, it's beautiful. It's perfect. Yes. That was absolutely gorgeous. I love these old radios. Are they just made to look old?
Those are new radios.
Okay, but they look old. That is so cool.
They look old.
It's amazing how you were able to find these things at like.
It's like I've had 23 years to work on this.
Yes,
place, so.
absolutely.
Some of these things were like here in the house. Some of them people brought and gave to me. I've had people criticize me for them, like say, "Oh, you have these racist things." I go like, "I don't collect these. The house collects them." Yeah. There were some here,
well, I mean,
and
it's in Harlem.
people bring them. I've never bought any. People bring them and they give them to me.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like, you know, for some reason the house is like hanging on to these things.
Well, it's a piece of history. You know, whether or not you agree with it, it's still history. You know, so
exactly.
And this like tile work, was that there already?
That's original.
Okay.
And this is all original. This is an interesting thing too. Look at this. These are all like where people would light their cigarettes and they would just rest them here and they would leave them here until they burned back.
It used to be very
like
fashionable.
A
the
Sanskrit word for that. I think it's called samskara, and it's like the scar that points to beauty.
Yes. That's really interesting. Wow. When you first said, "Hey, do you want to look at it?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." But then when I look at it inside, I'm like, "Wow." So this is your original tile?
Yeah. That's stuff that I created.
Okay.
I mean, original in that way.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
And
So it's unique. Yeah.
And
I bet.
it's like inspired by stuff I saw, like Gaudi's stuff in Spain.
Yes. Yeah. That's really. It almost. Yeah. It reminds me of Europe. Definitely.
You know, bits of broken porcelain, and like all the dishes are like dishes that like remind me of something. Like one is from like a church where I had a theater company, and you know, like I can like recognize the dishes and that are in there and tell you the story.
So that vent on the wall back there, like
that was the original heating.
Okay.
And there was a coal burner in the cellar, and then it all came up through the house. And
that sounds dangerous.
Yeah. No. Oh my God. And then over here was like. You could plug in like a little coal stove.
Oh, because underneath
it was
the desk, there's
weighed like 1,000 pounds. This little iron stove, and it was supposed to be portable because it had a handle on each side. Oh, but I don't think anyone ever moved.
1,000 pounds? No
well,
way.
just like I don't know 1,000 pounds, but definitely like 500.
Felt
pounds.
like it, yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So, is there stuff upstairs too?
Yeah,
or?
there's another floor.
Man,
these rooms are clean still. They're a little nicer.
is it kind of a low time for people to come because it's early January? Is this not as many people?
Busy completely year round, but
It's just like a random moment.
No, I'm closing them for January, February, and March because we're having this new heating system put in.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the solar.
The panels are up, but they're going to come and they're going to put all the air ducts in and stuff.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool. Are you going to still be able to see the ceilings, or are they going to have to close in the ceilings?
Well, this room, originally did have, originally these rooms all had plaster ceilings. The tin ceilings were added later. Okay. When they split it up into little tiny rooms.
Okay. So
originally they had, custom plaster, like the room below, that's all that plaster is new plaster, but it's from a guy who had his grandfather's business in Brooklyn and was made from molds from, the 1860s. Okay. So, there we put, we put brand new plaster. Here, I kind of like the way the roof was.
Yeah, that looks cool.
So we just put insulation in between, and then I took paint and I mixed it with sawdust to paint in between and give it that texture. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it feels really cool, and I love how over here you have the plaster wall and then the brick exposed. Yeah, it was just broken like that. And I kind of that looks cool. Yeah, leave it absolutely. Wow. It gets great sun up here too. Oh, I bet, yeah. So this is where most of my plants are up here. Smart, yes. We have a plant mama in our house too, and she's always, Pearl will close the window, and she's like, my plants. So we lost two of you, huh? I don't know where. But what about the guy, taller guy?
He didn't come.
He was mad at me.
He's probably mad because he messed up really bad.
It's okay.
He's got to learn to breathe a little bit and just that's
relax.
Kind of what's nice about live performances.
Yes,
there's
I know.
Mistakes and you just go. You just keep going.
Sorry, and we're like, no one even knew you messed up. Anyway,
just breathe and keep
he's
going.
a bit of a
is this like a piggy bank? Or
Yes, someone mailed it to me from New Hampshire. They said they included a letter saying that they had stayed here and they saw this at a flea market in New Hampshire and felt like it belonged here. This is what I mean. And they mailed it to me. Yeah. And I had no idea who it was. Really? But it was you put a penny here and then it would go like this and the penny would go in the mouth. And this is what I found. I found this at a thrift shop in Florida and this guy was like a horrible person. He was like
Well,
Persian,
people probably
like,
don't know.
responsible for the deaths of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people. But anyways, interesting. And this one I got in Florida too. This one I couldn't resist. I mean, come on. This one belonged to my aunt, and this is actually a very famous one. It was, you see photos of it often, and it was like if you went to this, like, I think it was called the 5-cent bank or something like that, and to open an account you would get one of these.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's still a
it's like
5-cent bank up in the Bronx. It's
Do
like,
they give you one of those?
no, this was, yeah, I don't think so.
They
This
should
is,
give you,
I
like, a
bought this
coin
in
or
Dansk
something.
in Poland.
That's so
I
cool.
just
Yeah,
saw it
totally.
there.
It
Wait, so
totally
each,
fits.
so you lease out each room separately, and then you.
Sometimes people rent the whole house.
if they have-
Sometimes people will rent out, like, it's very common people to rent just these top room,
Yeah.
2 rooms. So they
Well,
have
I think it would be
bathrooms
cool to
and-
have like a mini retreat here. You know what I mean? Like where you rent the whole house and then like you can meet in the living room downstairs or something
People
like
have
that.
done
would
that.
be
That
really
doesn't
cool.
happen very often, but it does happen.
Man, this old sink. I
You
love
have to
it.
do that like a year in advance. to get
Yes.
it.
Yeah, to
Somebody
book it.
is doing it this summer. They rented all the rooms, yeah.
Did we see everything? Is there one more room over here? And this is wow. There's another
This
bathroom here.
door I found in the street. Just
Someone just left it, huh?
well, both of them actually.
Well, when you're
they were
renovating-
exactly the same size originally, and they were like painted white with really thick paint, but they had all this hardware on them too.
Yes, that's
And they were in an
gorgeous.
alley up the street here, and I was walking down the street and I saw them in an alley, and I said like, oh damn, right? And I picked one up, and it was really heavy, and I go
You
like,
know
fuck,
it's
like
good.
oak, right? And then, but I was going away, I was going out of town, and then I came back like 2 weeks later, and they were still there. So I was like,
Yeah.
Got some
And
of the
so
helping
so 2 of them they were the same like
yeah. And so this one we built out.
okay because it
See-
wasn't it wasn't big
See,
enough.
there's like an extra piece here on
Yeah.
either side, and that one we cut down.
Wow.
But they had put these crappy foam cord board doors up here, and I was like so happy to get rid of them and
Yes,
replace them with this.
absolutely.
So it's like, stuff happens over the years and over time.
So cool.
This was all hand cut too. It's slate. It's like slate for patios.
Yeah.
But if you cut it into little pieces, it looks really nice.
That does look cool.
And it's
yeah.
cheap.
You know.
The marbles new too. I'm not crazy about this pattern, but
You know, it works
okay.
though. It works. It looks good with the house. I feel like it kind of feels like it goes with the house.
yeah, I was kind of learning as I went along too. Like I think I did a much better. Show it to you. This is wallpaper again from that same place.
So cool. And once again, the sink, because
Yeah.
everybody wants to be clean.
This is another first store painting.
Wow, that is so cool.
Oh, this is one of my favorite rooms so far. I mean,
You like it? What do you like about it?
I don't know, it just looks like super like original.
Yeah, I think the color being kind of this kind of taupe plus maroon, that just feels very like period, you know?
Yeah, the Victorians used a lot of color and ornamentation inside their houses. I think because they didn't have TV.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so like
Yeah,
they made their rooms really super stimulating, and
Yeah.
like now we have like so much input. Everyone
I
just
think
give me
everyone wants
white
white.
walls.
Yes. Like,
Yeah, but it totally fits the style.
it fits the
I want to
style.
live in a house like this.
It's just
That's
very
what I
cool.
said, and here I am,
Yeah.
same age.
Yeah?
Yeah, I saw one house like this. I said, this is what I want to live in.
Wow.
So good luck.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
That's so cool.
Here's like this door was like one of the doors that was added when they made it into a flop house.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like one of the original
It's got
doors.
the-
I guess
the
all the
number
original
4
doors
on
from
it.
up here are gone. The downstairs has both the original doors, but the ones up here were all gone. And then I found these stencil letters, and I thought, oh, that's like so perfect.
Yeah.
Very-
That's great.
so I added that stencil, but
Oh,
it really
okay.
looks like
It looks like it
flop
fits,
house kind of
yes.
thing that you would have.
And you even got the cool keychains and everything. It's really cool.
This is like someone who worked here made this keychain. The keychain was missing, so she made this.
That's really cool.
Yeah, like the word souvenir is
Yeah.
French for memory.
Remember, yes. We have a little ladder up to our roof too. Elijah wants to go up there. I'm like, you're gonna fall off the sides.
There's a clawfoot tub too.
Yes.
That was original. That one was down the ground floor. There was like 4 of them in here, and I got rid of 2 of them. I like this one because you can fill it up really fast.
Yeah, people don't appreciate things. Oh, I think they're starting to appreciate it now, but sometimes you don't know what you have till it's gone.
There's always new things from every age that are wonderful.
And these floors, I assume these are somewhat original.
Okay, so these floors were subfloors. They weren't meant to be exposed.
Okay.
But what was put on top of them was, like I said, it was a modern house. And
Yeah.
so they had linoleum.
Okay.
They were making linoleum back in like the 1800s, and it was like burlap with some kind of like gluey plasticky stuff stuck on top of it.
Wow.
And then it was printed on, and so they printed it to look like an oriental carpet. And there would be trim pieces that went around the edge, and then a fill piece that went in the middle, and then every now and then there'd be like a medallion. But that was all destroyed when I moved in. We found like little bits of it in the closets, and I've read about it. Here's what I was telling you about too, about how like we had stuff made.
Yeah.
And so like that's the original stuff, and then this stuff. This is just like, all when we finally finished the whole house, we still had this gap here because we got rid of one of the doors.
Yeah.
And so then we just went and we just pieced together all the last pieces that we had to fill this space here.
Yes. And was it the mill in Pennsylvania that
That
got
made
to
the
make
new
that?
stuff. Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. So they're able to take the old stuff, make basically a mold of it, and then like or something, right?
They do what's called an end cut.
Okay.
And then they set the blades based on that end cut.
Okay.
So they have the 3-dimensional piece,
Yeah.
and then they put all the blades, like arrange it,
Okay.
and then they take that out, and then they can push wood through it to cut it.
That's amazing. That's something my husband would understand. He more understands that stuff.
It's pretty cool, and it's like it's cheaper than the crap they sell at Home Depot.
That's amazing.
Because once again, it's like they're so excited when I sent them the pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they called me.
So is this original too? This
is
stairwell?
original. Yeah.
Wow.
This still needs some work. This has got like these pieces are all broken off.
Okay.
I had one guy who was going to do it, and then he took one with him, and then I never heard from him again.
Oh no. Who's got your piece?
Yeah. At some point I'll do it.
Yeah. That's really cool.
They're modular. Like these pieces are separate.
Okay.
So you can just you take one off, you have them made, and then you just replace the broken one.
That is cool. I like your Santa hat here, the leopard print that fits. That's so cool. Oh, so this is actually connected this way. Is this how things used to be?
Yeah. So
Because now everything's all partitioned off.
So like we know this is a whole dining room because it had this piece going all around, and this is typical of dining rooms. It's called a chair rail,
Okay.
and it was so like if you pushed your chair back, it wouldn't damage the walls.
Oh,
or the
interesting.
wallpaper.
Okay.
But it just became like a decorative thing.
Yeah.
But it's also you just know like, oh, that must have been a dining room.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
here's a
yeah, I
little
see what you're saying.
Piece of the original wallpaper. When we took the wall here, because this was split into a separate apartment, so this is what the original stuff would have looked like. And this was all done by hand. It was called hand blocked. So you can see it's even more ornate and has so many different colors and stuff in it.
And probably there was so much smoking back then. That's probably what.
It's also
part
the
of the
the
color.
city, like everyone was burning coal.
Yes.
So there was grime on everything.
I wondered why Victorian houses in San Francisco were the color they were, and they said it was because coal fires and wood fires just made everything so dark that you couldn't paint a light color because then you would see just all the soot everywhere.
But they did anyways.
They did anyway?
They made really like if you could see like a if you could see like one, they were like an original one that's really done. It's like being inside a kaleidoscope or something.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Is this your tie collection?
Yeah, this is like part of my pandemic. I have there's at least 30 different pandemic projects in here, and that was one of them. Wow. I had all these ties, but I never had
a place for it,
so I could look at them and use them. And so after 20 years of keeping them in plastic bags, I finally.
And your typewriter.
I had the pole and the racks and all the pieces to do it for 10 years. Just sitting in a corner. I just never got around to it.
Aww, that's so cool.
That's a cool typewriter.
Yeah, and that typewriter, does it work?
That was my aunt's, yeah.
Really?
She made her, she started making her living as a typist. She and my mother learned how to type, and it opened a lot of doors. They were like Puerto Rican immigrants, and it opened a lot of doors for them. She eventually went to teachers college.
Huh.
So that's her typewriter.
So cool.
She gave it to me it was the most precious
and then
thing in the world.
there's a kitchen down here, so this is like.
Yeah, so the kitchen normally would have been in the back there.
Okay.
But
so that back area.
This was a pantry.
Huh.
And so when I bought the place, I was originally going to put the kitchen back in there, but this was kind of like a useless space.
Yeah.
It was too narrow to do anything, and you couldn't put in anything. There are no windows. And then one morning I woke up and I said, I'll put the kitchen in there. And I suddenly got a whole extra bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
not?
out of the blue.
So this would have been a pantry. That was a kitchen over there, but then
kitchen, yeah.
But you kind of came up with a creative.
Yeah, because the kitchens are linear anyways, and you don't
Right.
need a pantry nowadays. You don't have barrels of flour or anything like that. So.
I know, back in the day, and there's probably times when you just couldn't get things back then, so you had to have a big old stock of it. This is cool. Did you find this or?
That was on the street, yeah.
Oh my! It was on the street, just waiting for and nobody picked it up.
Yeah, it was the perfect for what I needed.
Oh yeah. Man, I'm gonna do more street shopping, man.
New York City's amazing for street shopping.
Yeah.
You can get some amazing stuff.
There was a little desk that I was thinking about
You just gotta
putting
be
in.
ready to move it. That's the problem.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to stand there and call your friends.
Oh, well, thank you so much for showing us this. It's absolutely
There's
amazing.
still one less.
Oh, yeah, one more.
A
Okay.
little more.
Wow. Wait, so how many floors are there? 5 or?
How many what?
There's
5
4 floors, right? Or
There are 4 floors in the cellar.
Okay.
But the cellar's useful space. So this is where the kitchen normally would be. And this, in some of the houses, they still have them. They had a giant cast iron stove here. And literally these stoves would keep the entire house warm. Because they would be just going all day and they wouldn't burn wood there, they cooked here. But that stove was gone. I don't know who got rid of it, man, but that was those things weighed tons.
yeah.
And then this bathroom was added. Hello. Hi. There was actually no bathrooms in here originally. There was an outhouse in the back.
Oh my! In the house there were no bathrooms.
No,
Oh,
those
my
were.
goodness.
We don't really know what those rooms were. Maybe sewing rooms. Maybe maids' rooms. This is a merchant class house. It wasn't a rich person's house. It was somebody who's owned a rope factory or something.
Well, the city used to be very full of factories and so forth, good textiles and so forth.
Yeah, this is early on that end of that stuff, but yeah, it was but it was this mercantile era was preceding that.
Okay.
And the people who made barrels and made ropes and made sails and made
because we're right by the water.
or exactly, or who most of the industry here is all transportation and importing, exporting, and
yeah, because there's the boat.
this was
and
we had this gigantic natural harbor too here.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Have you ever come in through the harbor?
We were in New Jersey a couple of summers ago, and we would take the ferry.
You go to the end of Manhattan and you're going and going and going and going before you get out to the sea.
Yes.
And you go by Coney Island and all of that stuff and the Rockaways.
We didn't go that far. No, it was just a little.
There's a ferry that goes from the Rockaways to Lower Manhattan.
We should do that.
Yeah, it just costs $2.75, and you'll get a sense of what it must have been like.
Wow.
They used to have this thing. You probably don't remember, but you might remember. Remember the tall ships things?
Well, we just moved here recently, but
so 20 years ago, or maybe even longer than that ago, maybe they had like a whole group of like tall ships, these old wooden sailing ships, and they went around the world and they would stay in different cities for like months at a time. And they were here in New York, and you'd see all these old ships.
That's so cool. You know, I used to live in San Diego, and so I feel like that may have been something I saw in San Diego once. But
Yes, what's happening? Oh no,
like,
you're
pay
not.
attention to me.
Someone interrupted your
Bathroom. That's such a cute little bathroom. Oh, it's neat.
What's your cat's name?
Phoebe.
Phoebe,
Do you
that
like
was
cats?
cute. We like cats, yeah.
We want to have dogs and cats, but
Well, we're
There's too many
renting,
kids.
and I already we're a family of
Well, you're welcome
12, and I
to visit Phoebe whenever you want.
Aw,
She
that's
loves it. She has friends all over the neighborhood.
that's so cool. You seem to be a musician. You've got the drums in there, and you've got
Yeah,
the.
I'm a guitar player.
That's so
My
cool.
band practices here.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
We do shows here too.
Do you? I was thinking this would be a great place for a show.
Well, you guys should come do a show here for the neighborhood. That would be amazing.
That would be fun, yeah.
If you're, I don't know if you'd
If we
like to.
practice.
Huh?
If we practice.
Don't worry about it. You guys sound great.
As long as Josiah doesn't have any
They are their own worst critics. I
Yeah,
feel
well.
this bed is cool too. Is this something like vintage or just
No,
kind of
that's a
vintage inspired?
reproduction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
You can't get beds this size that are vintage. Like the first 2 rooms you went in, you notice
Yeah.
how they were like these smaller beds?
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like queen size beds have only been around for like 30 years or something.
Okay. Yeah, because people didn't need to like California King didn't exist.
People were smaller.
Yeah.
Like if you go to like a castle or something, you'll see like the beds are even tinier. They're
know.
like this short.
I know.
You know?
We went to the I don't know if you've ever been to the Palace of Versailles,
Yeah, me too.
but
Yeah.
they have these gold beds. I make fun
And
of
they're
my son. I
tiny,
say
yeah.
gold beds up to the ceiling. They've got these amazing. They're super tall, but they're like for like midgets. I'm like,
Yeah.
how is that even possible?
You know who had a giant bed?
Ooh,
Catherine the Great.
really?
Yeah.
So she
In her
was.
palace in St. Petersburg, she had like a whole room that was just like all like couches and beds.
Wow,
And
that was very cool. Wow, I'm impressed. Thank you so much.
She's probably the one who invented the queen
The
size
queen
bed.
size bed. Well, that's what they call it, queen, right? Oh, there's a cellar.
Yeah,
Wow.
just be careful.
Oh wow, that's great. You're able to put your laundry and stuff down here. This is great.
So
And you have a
like,
projector.
this is like, this is like ties into the those vents that you saw in the rooms.
Okay.
And so the furnace, it might have been here, or that might have just been where it connected to it, because there's one on either side.
Okay.
And then there's like a coal, like you can see where they dumped coal in the back here. See there's other ones here. This is actually more likely where it was because there's several of them here. These were the vents were. And then this is when they put the oil in
Okay.
the oil burner. And they would dump coal. See this like right here? That thing bricked up in the back?
Oh, wow,
all the way in
yeah.
the back? That's how they would just dump coal in there through that.
Through from the outside, right?
Yeah, from the
so someone
outside.
would basically deliver it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow, that's really interesting.
what are the walls made out of?
This is all this is something called Manhattan schist.
Okay.
And almost all of the foundations of the old buildings, actually all of them, were made out of this Manhattan schist, and that's its geological name.
Okay.
And it's because they discovered it. If you see Morningside Park over here,
Yeah.
you see all that
Yeah, yeah,
stone
yeah.
there.
Yes. Yeah.
That's part of a vein of stone that comes from all the way from Canada through the United States, down the Adirondacks, the Poconos, all the way into Manhattan. The same chunk of stone, and then it continues down the whole East Coast down to Georgia, like where it's part of where the Appalachian Trail runs along the top of it.
Wow. Okay.
But
That is so cool.
the geologists were all here in Manhattan, so they got to name it.
Yes, of course. Phoebe, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for letting us tour.
Oh, she's going to show you something.
She's like, it's my territory. I love these ice skates. Oh my goodness.
These are my. I used them till recently.
Really?
Well, till about 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. I feel like I just stepped back in time. So cool.
This is cool in many of those like museums because they don't let you go.
Oh yeah, they don't let you go into the underbelly and see what's really going on.
Yeah, you picked a good time because it's
Well, thank you.
the last 2 guests left today. They're gonna start work on Friday.
Okay, yeah, well, that's a lot of times how it works.
Oh no, actually no. There's a whole other set of guests coming in, then they leave on Friday, and then they'll start working.
Wow. Well, thank you. I feel
Thank you.
educated.
Oh, that's from that's from Vietnam. They build these like dioramas out of cobras.
Do people actually drink that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
And they have like they'll have like there's like giant ones, and they have like a whole battle scene of cobras in it. I don't know how they do it. They build like this whole. You can see it's like they're all arranged inside of there. See, I've had these for a long time though, so they've gotten cloudy.
Yeah.
But when I first bought it, it was clear.
Wow.
And that's kind of disgusting.
It looks cool though. It looks like it belongs
But
here.
talk about a souvenir, right?
I know.
You're not gonna find that anywhere else.
No, that's not at your local liquor store. That's for sure. That's so cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Sure.
you.
So,
I feel so honored.
Everyone's names once again: Pearl,
Elijah.
Eli, and Noah.
And I'm
I said it a few
Amber,
more times, so.
but I'm
Your
usually
name
called.
is again?
My name's Amber, but
Amber.
they usually call me Mama.
So these are your kids?
Yeah, they're my kids.
Oh wow.
So cool.
And how many are there all together?
We have 10 kids all together.
Jesus.
So yeah, so we don't want to add a dog to
that's
make
a
the landlord
project.
mad at us.
So is everybody a musician?
Want to give him our we have Instagram.
Yeah, so we're at the Happy Caravan. So like the happy caravan.